Jonesboro's community radio station. Your life, your music. KLEK 102.5 FM.
Good Friday morning, Jonesboro. This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Partly to mostly cloudy today and tonight. The high around 62, the low around 52, and there's a chance of showers and thunderstorms tonight. Rain showers and a few thunderstorms Saturday and Saturday night, a weather front coming in. The temperature Saturday in the mid-60s, low 50s Saturday night. A few showers and thunderstorms in the morning on Sunday, then partly sunny, 55 to 60 Sunday afternoon. Jonesboro, that's your KLEK 102.5 FM weather.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Natalie Powell. At least 15 people have been killed after a passenger plane crashed into a building in Kazakhstan. 60 people were injured in the incident. The cause of the crash has not yet been identified. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has won a challenge to his party's leadership with 72.5% of the vote. And Japan has executed the first foreign national in a decade.
It's 9:01.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday to you, and happy Kwanzaa. I hope that you're having a great start to your day. You're tuned in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Kalila Jones, and my special guests for day 2 are our very own station manager, Leganzi Kale, and one of the community's pillars, Reverend Dr. Ray Scales, pastor of New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. Thank you for joining us, Reverend Scales.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me today.
All right, and I'm so grateful to have both of you here. I feel that both of you represent what it means, what our day 2 principle is. The principle for today is Kujichagulia. It's a big word, and it means self-determination. And so we're going to get into, I'm going to read, while I pull that up, if you could just please give us some morning. First, let's start off with a prayer. Let's just slow this down. Reverend Scales, start us off with a prayer, please.
She's frazzled, y'all.
We thank you, dear Lord, for allowing us together here in this place, this day, at this time. We thank you for the ones here who are sharing the word, getting the news out to the community, and blessing the entire community. We pray that we'll be honest and fair in all of our dealings, and that you will watch over us and continue to take care of us. In your Son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right. So, Kujichagulia means to define and name ourselves, to create and speak for ourselves. Now, we know in today's society and many years past, depending on who you are, where you come from, those that feel superior will try to tell you who you are, what you can and cannot do, and everything in between. But we know that if we have to dig deep within ourselves and say, okay, I'm not that, or I am this, I am capable of whatever. And those of us in the Black community, we know the struggle all too well. Even though it's 2019, we still face various issues. So without further ado, we're going to get into our questions. And I just want to ask Reverend Scales to start out. Tell us a little bit about your time at KIT. For many of those who don't know, which I don't know how they don't know, you were the chief, was it photographer?
Yes.
At KIT.
Yes. I started in 1971, right after I got out of the Army. And I was the very first Black employee they ever had. I had never been into a TV station. I went out there, I was looking for a job when I got back to Jonesboro out of the military. I am a Vietnam vet, and I was blessed enough, lucky enough to get hired there. And so I started there, and I retired sometime in the 90s. All I know, I worked there forever. So after all those many years, in 1975, I was promoted to the chief photographer. And I served in that position until retirement. I did many other things other than make pictures or take pictures. I was also an editor, video, film editor, and sometimes I would write a little stuff like that. So it was a great career.
Okay. And so during that time, there were maybe the racial tensions weren't as heightened as they were, say, in the 50s and 60s. However, there was still some, some pushback going on.
Oh yeah.
So
we were ready. When I said we, I mean the black community was ready for the change because we needed it the most. And the white community, some of them, not all of them, but it was hard for them to accept the change that was taking place.
Okay.
And so some of them still would act out. That's what I call it. Especially, and it wasn't just the older ones. It was some of the younger ones. But it was ignorance, and it was fear. It was their lack of acceptance. And so you knew that the way they felt inside because they would voice it, and you would look like, boy, you got a problem. That's what I would think. You know what I mean? Because none of that was going to deter me for succeeding in life. Okay. I had been trained in the black schools. I went to all black schools and in the churches. And my family was very strong. You can do you can be what you want to do. Just do it right. And the thing of it is, we had such a deep root in the gospel and in Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And so that gave us the willpower and the will to want to do good and not be easily deterred. Sometimes it would wear you down, but you knew where the power actually came from. And when I would get worn down, it was worn down because of the ignorant people just say things, you're going like, hey man, we're not in those times anymore. We're not going to accept that, And so that pushed me forward. But it was a little struggle there for a moment.
Alrighty then.
It's real life.
All right, thank you. And we'll get into some more questions. But Legansy, would you like to start us off with a little of your introduction?
Well, as some of you may know or may not know, I am the founder and general manager of KLEK 102.5 FM. By the way, we are celebrating 5 years on the air in a few days, January 1st, 2015.
All righty then. And so I know that you had to face something, and I'm going to go in and ask our first question. And it says, what are some ways that you have defined yourself when faced with others' opinions of how they think you should act, think, or speak? So how have you defined yourself in the face of other people's opinions?
Well, the thing about me is, once I have my mind made up that I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Now, if I'm kind of on the fence, you can probably talk me out of it because I was kind of looking for a way out anyway. But once I decided that this is something that I want, then I'm going to do it. And that's just how I felt about KLEK. Now, originally, starting out, I actually wasn't looking at starting a station here. I didn't think that there would be an opportunity here. I was actually looking for opportunities to get into radio management elsewhere and relocating. But fate would have it, or God would have it, that the opportunity came to start something from the ground up, and why not do it? This was something that Jonesboro didn't have, the first and only radio station to specifically cater to the black community. And so I just knew that I was going to do it. Now, I didn't know how I was going to make it happen. I just knew this is something that I want to do, and I just kept pushing forward. And along the way, I was blessed with people like Dr. Scales, others that came along, and they saw what I was trying to do, and they saw the vision, and they got on board, and angels were sent to me, and now here we are. But I guess to add to that, that's been kind of the story of my life, having detractors, people who say, well, you can't do this, or making fun of me, or, laughing at me. And, there was a time when it used to really bother me, and I'll be honest, there's still some times where it makes me think and pause. But, at the end of the day, if you're doing something, if you're not doing anything, then no one's going to talk about you.
Okay.
That's right.
All right. So, Reverend Scales, same question to you. I'm sure that you faced, you talked about some of the pushback that some of the community was not ready for the change that was happening.
Right.
And so, how did you dig deep within yourself and say, no matter what you want, no matter what you say or think, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do?
I never move before I pray.
Okay.
And when I pray and when I get an answer from God, because God controls everything, every race, everything. the God that we serve, then nothing stopped me. And as my parents just called me when I was little, that I got a rock head, right? So if God said do it, I believe that it's going to work. What I had to learn to do was to pace myself.
Okay.
And along the way, because God will always put someone else there to help you. No man is an island.
Okay.
And a friend of mine, Bobby McDaniel, he reminded me of this. That
Shout out to them. Well, they are one of our sponsors, so we have to always shout out the sponsors.
I know that's right. If you see a turtle on a fence pole,
yeah,
it didn't get there by itself. So with the help of God put good, loving people along the way to help you and push you to the top. You just keep tracking. And one thing about it, do your very best to always deliver and do what you say you're going to do. Be honest about it, and don't be afraid to fail. The best of people have failed. I have fallen by the wayside, but they made mistakes along the way. Keep going. Okay. And when you know that it's from God, you know that in the end that God's going to make everything all right.
And to add to what Dr. Scales said, I think that's very important to realize, don't be afraid to fail. You know, I know several people who have great ideas, but, you know, they're so afraid of failure that they won't try. Then, you know, a lot of people are also afraid of success. You know,
it's true.
They're afraid that if they actually make it, you know, what to do with it. And how to handle it. Now, a lot of people aren't prepared for that. But, you know, and again, I'm not saying that I'm better than anyone else, because I'm not. But I remember June 7th, 2014. I'm sitting up at the apartment. I'm sitting up at the computer. I've just created the KLEK Facebook page. I haven't launched it to go live yet, but I've got this announcement saying coming soon, Jonesboro's first black radio station. I know the moment that I hit that button to hit send, my life was going to change forever. You don't think there was anxiety then?
Can't imagine.
It was. Let's fast forward a little further. December 23rd, 2014. The original tower is now built. All of this work, all of this fundraising, all of this canvassing, going to churches, talking to anyone that would talk. Now it's time to turn it on to see it actually works. Now, I won't get deep into the engineering of low power FM, but long story short, because the wattage is not as big, there wasn't even a guarantee that it was going to even put out a strong enough signal to be heard. You know, it's the engineers basically give the best guess, and you just basically have to step out on faith. So, you know, that's way in the back of my mind. So again, think about the anxiety when, okay, all of this stuff is now connected. It's now time to turn on and test it. The moment of truth, you know, this thing could have been a failure from, you know, before it even got launched. But I didn't let that deter me.
We should never forget, we're servants. We are servant, and we remember that, and then that what we got has been given to us by God to share with others, as always a line of success.
All right. I want to read a statement on this website, and it talks about self-determination from the creator, Maulana Karenga, or Dr. Maulana Karenga. And he says describe self-determination as the right and responsibility to exist as a people and make our own unique contribution to the forward flow of human history. And again, not trying to just harp on slavery times and past times. However, those times have defined who we are and what we're capable of doing now, because for so long we were stripped of our heritage and our culture and our identity. And over time, our ancestors have had to try to rebuild and reshape and reinstill that into us who are here now.
It's hard, but it's worth it. I was talking to a friend of mine who just happened to be white. He's a colonel in the military. Okay. And so he started asking me different questions about different things. You know, they're taking down the monuments, they're taking down part of what they call their history and stuff like that. And so it got a little fiery on the end. And so I was trying to explain to him how we really felt about certain things, because we really don't have a history. Our only history we have is American history. But as far as going back to our roots, I have been blessed enough where I researched and I found out where our relatives came from in Africa. Okay. And I found cousins and things like that. But we didn't have this to stand on. And so we're standing more or less on the shoulders of those who came before us. But so the thing is, but we do got to build a thing. And this is what I truly believe, that our heritage is embedded in us, in our mind, and in our spirit. I believe that whether or not we know anything about where our ancestors came from, we are a part of that. And that part will live as long as we live and pass it on. And so that's what's important to me. And I build on that every opportunity that I get, and I go into myself. And this is what I do also. I watch other black people. I watch them, and I said, like this young man right here, who planted his seed? It came from somewhere. And whether he knew his grandfather 30,000 years ago or not, of course, exaggeration, but it matter, but does it really matter? Because that genetic is, and that spirit is in him too. And the God that created us created everybody. So God promised that he would never leave us alone. So that's what I do. If people say question God, I'm not questioning what God does, but what I am questioning God to find out who I really am in God, in Christ. That's important to me. So that's what gives me your determination to move forward and do what I need to do. Now, I'm ready to retire now. I'm an old man now.
You've been saying it for 20 years.
Yeah, I sure have. But for real, I sure have been saying it for 20 years. Well, because I got sick in there, and so I said, well, I did retire. I got well, then I came back. And so, but this time I was still, pass my knowledge on and my experience in life on. But as far as chopping cotton, I couldn't do that again anymore.
And I'll just add 2 points to what Dr. Scales said. It goes back to something Reverend Ota has said on several times. We are the descendants of the strong, of the strong, of the strong. Think about going back to slavery time. Some died before they got on the boat. Mm-hmm. Some died on the boat. Mm-hmm. Some died when they hit the shore. Some died in the midst of working. They were beaten, some starved to death, heat stroke, whatever. Mm-hmm. So us, the three of us that are sitting here, we came from ancestors that survived all of that for us to get here. Then on top of that, my father was an entrepreneur. He had a pool hall, he had a nightclub, he had loft apartments, he had a restaurant. So like Dr. Scales was saying, that DNA, was just sort of embedded in me. I've kind of always did my own thing. I never did that well with the traditional 9 to 5s. I somehow managed to not be employed very long, but I seem to thrive better when I'm, and that's not to knock that. It's not for everybody, but it's something that was in me that just always, I thrive better, when I was working for myself.
Mm-hmm. One thing about Kwanzaa that I want everyone to understand is, even though, like Reverend Scales said, we may not know our complete history and heritage of our ancestors from Africa, however, Kwanzaa makes an attempt to help us tie those links together just a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Learn a little bit more about the culture, the principles, the values that are important to the African people, and how we can apply that to our lives today. We can translate that to fit our lives. We can increase the quality of our life right here in America.
Right.
Many of us may never get to go to Africa, but we can try to bring a little bit of Africa to here with us. And it's okay that we embrace that part of ourselves.
Because we are African.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. Since the emphasis is placed on Kwanzaa, I've studied doing research on this so I can learn about it too. Okay. And I see so much of me in this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? And so it's a building block for us. And we need to make sure that our young people get into it deeper and get a better understanding of it. Because, I mean, we are here and we are free. And we could do what we need to do with, obeying the law, do it within the law, and do what we need to do and grow ourselves. Our community will thrive.
That's right. We need to not be ashamed of being what they call Afrocentric and embracing that part of ourselves.
That's right.
And just to speak with that, sometimes when we do try to embrace ourselves, there's backlash, but it kind of goes back to what Dr. Scales said, growing up, we were taught, an overreaching view of history where, for the most part, we were excluded. If you just think about it, start off in school, Black history began as slavery. Well, what happened before then? So us discovering about ourselves is not anti anyone else. It's just we're learning those missing pieces that we did not get from, the beginning, because again, we were taught the majority history, and there's nothing wrong with learning that, but there's also more parts to the story.
I say that all the time. Just because I'm pro me doesn't mean I'm anti
anybody. That's
anybody.
right.
And I'm a history minor, and I like history of all kinds. In fact, when I was in school, I studied all kinds of history, Latin American history, European history. I just like learning the history about people, even on a local level. One of, I think, the most interesting stories in Jonesboro, I'm sure Dr. Scales probably can elaborate on this, was the Jonesboro Church Wars. And, this was a story that took place in the White Baptist Church. But I just thought it was a fascinating story that you had, these factions that were so deep in their conviction on how they felt the gospel should be spread, that they literally went to war with each other, and National Guard troops and stuff had to be called in. Mm-hmm. So history in itself, no matter whose history it is worth studying.
Mm-hmm. All right. And I do want to make this point. I made this point yesterday. Kwanzaa is not based on a religion. So anyone can read, study, and practice these principles and apply them to their life. So this is not to exclude anyone.
Right.
Kwanzaa was born out of a time when there was the Watts riots were happening in California, and there was a lot of racial tensions, and the creator felt like the black people in that time needed something to gravitate towards that offered them a sense of peace and hope and belonging, and so they can find their place. And so we hope that these traditions carry on. We hope that it becomes a tradition and it carry on to the future generations, and they see how important it is to learn about who we are.
I'll tell you what it's about.
Well, we're going to actually hit up and get some breakdowns.
Okay.
Got a couple Facebook shout out to Erica D. Jenkins, Marsha Smith Apaya, and hopefully I pronounced this right.
Mylan.
Obafemi Kinsidele. Hopefully I pronounced that right.
Just Obi. Good morning, Obi. And to Minister Marlon Carter. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into some more questions with our special guest, Reverend Dr. Ray Scales, and our very own Mackenzie Kell. You tune in Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Does your child have a problem with lying? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Every good relationship is built upon honesty. So when we notice our child struggling to tell the truth, we know it's time to take action. However, Dr. Scott Turansky explains that common discipline techniques don't quite address the problem of lying. Instead, here are some specific ways to encourage honesty. First, be sure to teach your child the difference between playing make-believe and lying. It's important for young kids to understand when it's appropriate to enjoy pretend stories and when the truth needs to be told. Second, be proactive in teaching about honesty. This might mean reading books or watching shows that communicate to your child why lying is wrong. Instill honesty in your kids. And remember, your family first.
Made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. KNOMEGA1908.com.
Family Minute is brought to you by the Guide-Right Jonesboro Kappa League, a non-profit organization that guides young men to a life of achievement. Kappa League Jonesboro on Facebook, Jonesboro_Kappa League on Instagram, and JonesboroKappaLeague@gmail.com.
So, I'm a dog, and I just got adopted by this new human guy, and I'm starting to wonder how he got along without me. I mean, okay, something as simple as walking around the block. He's got this leash thing, and he puts me on one end and him on the other, and I'm just taking him around. I think he's afraid of getting lost. Without that leash and me guiding him along, I don't think he'd find his way back home. But it's kind of cute.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
KLEK 102.5 FM would like to invite you to our annual Kwanzaa celebration to be held on December 28, 2019 from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the ASU Pavilion. The theme for this year is Dashiki Day Party. Dashikis and African attire are not required to attend. Included in the celebration will be addresses and prayers from elders in the community, a presentation about the history of the dashiki, and a game for all to enjoy. Foxy's Fabulous Accessories will be the paparazzi vendor on site. A photographer and photo booth will also be present. We're asking for donations of children's socks, t-shirts, and underwear to be donated to a local organization that serves families and children. Thank you in advance. We look forward to fellowshipping with you. This event is free to the public.
Starks Auto Plaza at 2829 Red Wolf Boulevard is a proud KLEK supporter, offering luxury pre-owned vehicles sold wholesale to the public. At Starks, we never say no. 870-203-9980. Details at starksautoplaza.com.
Call a friend and tell them to listen in. We're KLEK 102.5 FM.
House of Details, located at 3915 East Highland in Jonesboro, is a proud supporter of KLEK, offering detailing on any type of vehicle: basic wash, hand wash, shampoo, interior cleaning, waxing, buffering, headlight restoration, pickup, delivery, and more, with the motto of anything mean we can clean. Details at 870-273-5187. House of Details on Facebook and at klekfm.org.
The Office of Diversity and Community Engagement at Arkansas State University, under the leadership of Dr. Maurice Gibson, is a proud supporter of KLEK and is dedicated to finding innovative ways to advance their mission of creating a diverse and inclusive environment, conducive to educating, enhancing, and enriching lives, uplifting various and diverse groups on the A-State campus, and striving to maintain Arkansas State University a place that is inclusive to all individuals, regardless of origin, color, religion, socioeconomic status, or sexual orientation. More information about the Arkansas State University Office of Diversity and Community Engagement is available at www.astate.edu/diversity and 870-972-3081.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
Welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with my special guest, Dr. Reverend Ray Scales from New Mount Zion Baptist Church right here in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and our very own station manager, LaGanzi Kale. So we're going to get right back into our conversation about self-determination. I want to get into another question. Now that you have discussed how you have faced certain issues and how you have determined for yourself who you are within your life, your career, how do you express that to other people, and how do you help them determine who they are? Like, help them realize, have some self-realization, I guess you should say.
Sharing information, knowledge, and just being you. And not hiding the accomplishment that you've been able to, the things you've been able to accomplish, and just about sharing. I think that with the times that we're living in now, I'm hoping anyway, I'm an old man, that things are better, they're easier, and people can see through. Because I'm impressed when I go to some of the meetings and the luncheons at ASU, and I see all those black professors. When I go to Jonesboro High School, I see those educators and the black ones, and I remember there was so few that I know that this area has definitely improved, and it is better in this community. What I do not like is the shooting and the killing that's in our community now, and so maybe it's time. It's time for us to be seen more and to speak out more against it, and pray. It's praying time. What it is. Okay. Well, that's God gonna have to step in here. And so that's just a few opinions I got on it.
Okay.
Well, and just to add to what he said, be an example and make time to share your knowledge, because again, like was mentioned earlier, we didn't get here by ourselves. We got here because people helped us, and we also have to be willing to help. But just kind of touching on the question, also helping people to realize again who they are and not to get caught up in labels. And this is something that I kind of mentioned to you off the air yesterday. So many people let labels define themselves, and I'm gonna use me as an example. So Quabila, if you came up to me and said, Laganza, you're ugly, well, I would say to you, well, what's the definition of ugly? Okay. Define what ugly is, and what attributes do I have that fit that definition. Now, on the flip side, show me an example of someone who is not ugly, and define what characteristics that person has that makes them attractive. Could you answer that for me?
I probably could not.
If you're looking at it from a rational point of view, you couldn't answer that. But too many times we will let labels define us, and that again makes us not even want to get started, not even to get on the finish line because we're afraid to buy into labels. So that was just what I would share. Don't label yourself, or as Medea would say, it's not what they call you, but what you answer to.
Okay.
That's the devil's ploy. I don't deal in the devil's ploy.
But trying to label you.
So what if you are something? What if there is a label that can be put upon you? So what? Mm-hmm. Well, I understand how.
Negative labels.
Yeah, I'm talking about negative label too. So you have a problem. You need to build up your self-esteem, where you know who you are, and what you are, and whose you are. That's why I was always by myself. It doesn't matter what you say about me. I have an assignment. That assignment is given to me by society and by God. Mm-hmm. So complete your assignment. The rest of the stuff does not matter. And I understand some people are weak. They're weak, with low self-esteem, but I don't owe you anything. Mm-hmm. I don't owe you to build you up. That's between you and your maker. And if you need something, well, then you get it. You ask for it and you get it. Mm-hmm. But as far as I'm going out and say, always saying that, so then people start saying, well, he is bragging. Well, I did it this way, and I did it this way, and I did it this way. Ask. That's what the Bible tells us, to ask, and what it shall be given. Mm-hmm. To ask. If I want to know something about this business here, I worked in television for all those years. I ask questions. I even ask God stuff when He give me an assignment to make sure I don't make mistakes. You know what I mean? Yeah, ask. And that's the thing of it is. Some people are sitting around there holding their hand, expecting for someone to pick them up and to bless them. Pick yourself up. Okay. Because that's what we did. Didn't nobody say, well, come on, I'm gonna make you greater. I'm gonna make you a community activist. You got out there, and where that fear, of course there was fear. Mm-hmm. But a fool doesn't have fear. But anybody with any sense whatsoever, there's gonna be some fear. Every time I get up to speak, and I've been doing this for over 40 years, there's fear in my heart and in me speaking to God people. Mm-hmm. And when I'm doing stuff in the community, even now with the MLK, and I started, there's still fear that something could happen that I didn't anticipate. And there were times things did happen that I didn't anticipate. But by the help of people and by the help of God, we moved forward. Okay. That's me.
I want to add another aspect outside of race. Let's just go into gender and age and physical abilities. And I fall into two of those categories, with being a woman and having a slight disability. In society, there are those in society who will try to label you or tell you what you can and cannot do.
Of course.
Women for so long have been told what they can and cannot do. But over time, women have proven what they can do. Right. People with disabilities, I see so many videos of people with no legs, no arms, wheelchairs, whatever, and they are living their best life. Yes. They are doing things that I'm not even doing. So again, self-determination is about digging deep within yourself and determining what you want to do, what you're capable to do within the realm of possibility of reality, and doing it, and not letting people tell you what you cannot do, what you cannot be, and let's take it down to the children. I think we need to change the narrative collectively of how we talk to our children and what we say to them and how we instill love and hope and all that stuff in them. We need to start speaking life into our children and let them know you may be on this reading level now, but you can be an excellent scholar, down the line.
Right. That's right.
Well, and again, I think what the point she was getting at is, especially now that you have so many children coming from broken homes, instead of pointing fingers as to why those children got in that broken home in the first place, kind of go back to the olden days where, everyone was responsible for everyone, of course, those days. And Kubila and I, maybe we're the last generation that maybe experienced this, to where, if you was playing down the street and you got in trouble, well, you got whooped, and then you got that whooping again when you got home. So getting back to some semblance of that, even if, because, there's some people that they can be whooping this child abuse. But just the point of, as a community, showing concern for each other, each one teach one, getting back to that.
Yes, we need to kind of get back to that village mentality and look after our neighbors and our children and just each other. We need to do a better job at that.
Lift each other up.
Omar, our son Omar got killed in Batesville. Anyway, when Omar was small, he wasn't the brightest student. And so I had worked with him. My wife had worked with him. Clarice had worked with him. And so I had determined, I had this friend live in Texas now, and I said, well, we'll accept I guess he's doing his best. So my friend told me, he said, no. He said, you accept what he's giving you now. That's what he's going to give you. He said, but if you let him know that you expect better of him, that's what he'll give you.
Okay.
And so I told him, I said, I don't want no D's, I don't want no F's, I don't want no C's coming in this house. Omar produce. Amen. Omar produced. Omar did great in class. But see, I had already decided, okay, I'll let him just slide through. But as my friend told me, that encouraged me. Well, then I made Omar get on the stick.
Okay.
And it wasn't very hard, but he was going to hide. Now we have Omar's daughter. Okay, we ended up with the granddaughter because the mother's on drugs and the daddy got killed. So she, I play a little music. I can read music. So I was giving her teach how to play a little hymns that I play. We got the books and everything. That right. So to me, Blessed Assurance, it's a great story, it's a great song. But it's for me, it is so hard, especially the music part of it, right? But we worked on it about 2 weeks, so she had it down pat.
Oh, wow.
And so I told her, I said, Trace Stafford, exactly what I told her, Kabila. I said, Trace Stafford, I said, what you come and play in the Christmas parade and play Blessed Assurance. I'm just messing with her. So I had taught her some easier hymns, right? And so she said, I'm not playing that song. She said, I said, why? I said, Trey needs you. She said, I'm not playing that song, Dad, Paul. But anyway, so you talk about pouring back into it. But I knew she was going to say that because both of us hate to play that song because it's so hard to play to us, you know what I mean? But anyway, so we got pouring into her. And so it was the same thing when we got her too. I told her, we don't take D's, F's, and C's. And so sure enough, she's excelling. You see what I'm talking about? So it's just this one child, but so the brother, who another relative keep, her brother, he's excelling because we expect for them to do good. So just think when we do it across the board, like you just said. If we would do all of it, and this Kwanzaa, it's great for us.
Yes.
It's great because it's putting stuff in our hearts and in our minds, and it's opening us up to really see. And I'm learning from it, and I thank God for that. And I'm going to straight up let my man talk now. Amen.
Mackenzie?
Pass the collection plate.
All right. And I do want to say this, all of the principles of Kwanzaa tie in together. Yesterday we talked about unity, coming together. And today is the self-determination, which probably should have been first. Because first you have to know who you are, what you're capable of, and what you can contribute to the group before you can come together. However, once we know who we are, what we're capable of, what gifts we possess, what role we can play in our society, then we can come together and start building and shaping or reshaping our society and communities to be the greatest they can be.
That's right.
And again, for future generations, we should all have a future mindset of, especially those of us who have children or grandchildren, what can I do now to plant the seeds that are going to grow into that big oak tree for them, when they get of age. Again, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I think you hit the nail on the head.
One of the greatest, Dr. Llewellyn before us, always told us that we got to do it for ourselves today.
Okay.
And we got to come together. This is about unity. We got to come together as a people.
Yes.
And when you come together as a people, that does not eliminate or I don't need the word eliminate, but the other races to include. It's all inclusive because we learn from one another when you speak of that. And by the way, that's what we're getting ready for. We need 1,500 marchers this year at Arkansas State for the parade. We need 1,500 marchers. And what I'm doing, which I never wanted to do, I'm turning because they made me. Ashley and all of them made me. Kanisha Rawls, so the Kanisha Scale Rawls would be serving as chair of the organization up there, MLK, Cricket County MLK Parade, and I'm thankful for that. I never wanted my kid to go through the things that I had to go through, and I know what it took to get where we are now. So, but hopefully things will be easier for them, you know. So I'm thankful for that.
All right, so you heard what Dr. Scale said. We need 1,500 marchers.
1,500 marchers. That's
for
right.
the
Meet us at the
parade.
Armory on the 20th. And don't forget that Sunday, the 19th, at the high school.
The explosion.
Yeah, that's right, the youth explosion.
Okay.
And of course, we'll have more details on all of those events as we approach the MLK holiday.
Amen.
I want to say good morning to Mr. Jabari Williams for checking in, and also he will be our photographer. We want to interject right here that we will be having a fellowship community event tomorrow at 11 a.m. ASU Pavilion, and we will continue our discussion and celebration of Kwanzaa tomorrow. So please come and join us. Get out your African attire, dashikis, or whatever you have. It's not required.
Not required.
But we would love to see you come dressed up and celebrate and fellowship with your fellow community members.
It's going to be some good food, fellowship. You're going to learn some things. And also, we have several donations. We got several coats, especially for kids, that we're going to just give away, no questions asked. They were actually left over from a coat drive that First Baptist had. They had some left over, so they turned them over to us. So especially if you got kids out there, make sure you come to our Kwanzaa celebration tomorrow. Get you a coat for your child. And we have donations in of some socks and other things as well.
We're just asking for donations of socks, underwear, and t-shirts for kids because we're going to give back to a local organization that caters to families and children with children. So,
well, whatever coats don't get picked up, we can give them to them as well.
Okay. And I do want to read another quote, going back to self-determination and touching on what Dr. Scales said earlier. This is another statement from Dr. Karinga. He says, Afrocentricity does not seek to deny or deform others, history, and humanity, but to affirm, rescue, and reconstruct its own after the Holocaust, enslavement, and various other forms of oppression. So, again, us as the Black community trying to embrace something that was lost, it's not to deny anybody else. It's history. It's like we're trying to find our own place because, in essence, we don't really have a culture. Like, post-slavery, we've adopted everything else that was around us because, again, the remnants, our ancestors, that had the knowledge, they died off and didn't really pass it on because it was stripped from them. Mm-hmm. So now we're trying to, again,
reconnect.
Reconnect with who we are and who we were.
Define that word at
Afrocentricity.
Yeah, define it on the air.
Basically, it's connecting to your Afro or African heritage, trying to,
all these put together.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the best way. I'm sorry, I don't have.
That's pretty good. Okay, I like that.
Well, I mean, if you just want a textbook definition,
give us one for that. That'd be great.
Afrocentrism is an approach to the study of world history that focuses on the history of people of recent African descent.
Okay, see, there we go. Yeah, just what we just said.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Jabari left a comment, says, good morning. Thanks for the opportunity once again. Yes, we will have a photographer on site, Jabari and his wife, Tyler.
Also going to be a photo booth, too. Shout out to Spacewalker of Jonesboro.
Said, me and Tyler really appreciate you guys for thinking. Thank you, Jabari, for being available. So, come dressed to the nines because we're going to photographer, photo booth. You don't want to get caught slipping.
That's it.
Legends Barbecue Smokehouse has agreed to donate some of the food, and there's going to be food from several other places as well.
So, yes. And we'll still take donations of drinks and whatever else.
Food.
So, please don't be shy.
Just show up, bring what you got.
Yes.
Just at the
ASU Pavilion.
Yeah, we got an invitation for that.
We want to make this a really fun, engaging event for the community and a cultural experience for the community as well.
Is that Saturday night?
Saturday midday.
Oh, okay.
11 to 3.
Yeah, I got on the thing at the house.
11 a.m. I don't do after dark.
I got no invitation, so it's cool.
I'm not a morning person.
I want to say good morning to Mrs. Maddie Warren. Thank you for checking in. All right, so I want to speak about self-determination again from my standpoint.
Yeah, because we haven't heard from you. We've been running our mouth all show.
I started college way back in 95, and it was a journey. I got pregnant early and had to, well, I didn't have to sit out. I got put out because my grades dropped. And so tried to go back again. Another time in 2002, grades dropped again. And I'm just kind of in this place like, I don't know who I am, what I want to do, what's possible. Went to cosmetology school 2013. Then went back to school 2017 and finally finished. I could have let life just take me down by the wayside. I could have let developing this disability in my legs keep me down. I could have let divorce keep me down. I could have let a lot of things just hold me down. But I decided I am capable just because I finished my first degree after I turned 40. And I could have let my age keep me down. But here I am. So
you were a late bloomer.
A late bloomer.
But so am I.
But that's determination. That is great.
Yes.
So many people give up when all those things are happening in their lives.
Yes.
But you did not.
And I'm very grateful also for Leganzi for this opportunity to be here. I never saw myself here. But now that I am here, I'm determined to be the best. I want to be the next queen of talk radio.
You are. I saw you here when you was working for that station that lives that's in Atlanta, Georgia now. I saw you in this position. I was surprised to see you doing that, but I was very, very pleased. Remember you did the interview there about the thing, and so then I thought, why in the world? And the reason I thought that you worked in TV, because I had worked in TV all those years. And for you to just jump out of nowhere, because I knew you when you were a teenager, you were 18 years old.
18, yeah. That's
when you came over to the church and contributed so much to the church. And so I thought, of course, we had fights about that because I saw the good that was in you, and I knew that whatever you needed in life to make you a success like you are now, you already had. But the thing of it is, you went wayward for a while, and that's fine. But because God had already set a place for you, of course you came back in. Trained up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he shall not depart from it.
Yes,
and so you are indeed a light in this community and a pillar, in my opinion. I listen to you guys quite often.
Well, thank you so very much.
Sure.
All right, we're going to get ready for another quick break. Leganzi, you have any words you want to share?
Like I said, everything Dr. Scales has said is correct. You have done great things here at the station. You talk about me giving you an opportunity. Well, I'm thankful that you made the most of the opportunity. It's a two-way street. We all have to work together to, make things happen and to lift up this community. So, I just thank God for it all.
All right. So after our break, we're going to answer one final question, and basically, how important is it to live life free of labels? That's the first one. The second one, what can we do collectively to pass on the principle of self-determination to our younger generation?
We can answer it now.
We're going to answer when we come back from our break.
Okay.
All right, so you tune in to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these announcements.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. You cannot improve your finances without living on a budget. I know you think you can, and you want to believe you can, but you can't, no matter how much or how little money you have. People who manage money well know three things at all times: what their expenses are for the year, for each month, and often by the day. They have a documented plan for spending, so they know their household costs and obligations like the back of their hand. They never look up at the end of the month surprised that they're out of money or wondering where it all went. They understand to the penny how their money is spent and what they spent it on. They have specific goals for spending, saving, and investing their money, and have allocated funds in their budget to achieve those goals according to a real schedule. If you're not serious about budgeting, you're not serious about your finances, period. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization focused on joy in our sisterhood, power in our voice, and service in our hearts. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by the Guide Right Jonesboro Kappa League, a nonprofit organization that guides young men to a life of achievement. Kappa League Jonesboro on Facebook, Jonesboro_Kappa League on Instagram, and Jonesboro Kappa League at gmail.com.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
KLEK thanks CJ Pepper and the staff of Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping people through hard times in life such as depression, family issues, stress, abuse, and more. They offer counseling and therapy for all ages, individuals, families, and groups. They are located at 1217 Stone Street. Phone number 1-866-972-1268 or online at lscihelp.com.
Support for KLEK is brought to you by
the story about when he was stationed overseas and he had an accident in his car and had to have the fender painted. Took it to a body shop, went to pick it up, fender didn't match. He told him that I needed to match to be acceptable. He went back to a few days and everything matched fine. He took it home the next day, looked at it. They painted the rest of the side of the car. It didn't match the trunk or the hood. Glenn saying, God bless our troops.
Hello, my name is Ron G, and I have something special just for you. It's called Rasta Wednesdays, where I play the best in reggae and music from the islands that speak to your conscience and soul. So grab a friend or two and join me every Wednesday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. for Rasta Wednesdays on KLEK 102.5. Ya Rastafari.
KLEK 102.5 FM salutes small businesses. Small businesses promote local character and success, keeping money in the local economy, local jobs, entrepreneurship, community well-being, and so much more. Contact us today to learn more on how your small business could be featured on KLEK for as little as $25 per month.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. But when we introduce a new stimulus, Save the Food, we're helping to stop food waste. Save the Food. For tips and recipes, visit savethefood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you when a wildfire was going to happen? Of course, I can't. But shouldn't you be ready anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM with my special guest, Dr. Reverend Ray Scales and LaGanzi Kell, our General Manager. We're going to jump right into our last question or / questions. One, how important is it to live a life free of labels? And then two, what can we do collectively as a community to pass on the message of self-determination to our future generations? Whoever want to go first.
Well, living a life free of labels is simple. Just don't adhere to them. Or as Dr. Scales said, create your own.
Okay.
You know, you don't have to adhere to the bad ones. You can create your own good labels. Don't be afraid to define yourself. And then as far as passing it on to the others, again, goes back to being that example, you know, especially when they're young and when they're impressionable, you know, expose them to positivity. There's plenty enough negativity out there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
And two, some of the strongest people in the world are black women.
Okay.
So train your boys and your girls. Train your boys to first to respect the women, the mother and the father. and the mother trained the girls to be women, and to stand and to know that they're what God created, and that God created them the way He's supposed to. And we need to push education, and we need to push diversity in careers and stuff like that. And that's the way our society is now. I mean, women doing everything, and so we know that because our parents were black, we know how strong our mothers were, and our sisters became strong, passed that on. And so the thing of it is, to me, a label they're a negative thing, because you are not that. You are who God said that we are. So I never adhered to any of that stuff when I was serving God and doing my mission that God had assigned me. But what is that? You see where I'm coming from? So it's black women and all women, but black women in particular, especially now. And the thing that I really do appreciate is that look at all the black educated women, the educated black women that we have, the professional black women that we have now. And so pass it on. Pass it on.
All right. I want to read this quote by Audre Lorde that says, "If I didn't define myself for myself, I would be crunched into other people's fantasies for me and eaten alive." So again, self-determination is decide who you are, what you want to be, what you're capable of doing within the realm of the reality and possibilities, and do that, be that. We have to speak for ourselves. We have to determine things for ourselves, because other people
will do it for us.
Yeah. so
why not you?
That's right.
I know that's right.
And I know
be the change in which you seek. Something I always say.
And thinking about Minister Ime Ulukbe, who runs the organization Future for Felons, people who come out of jail, the prison system, society tries to tell them who they are, because they committed a crime. Now, we're not going to get all deep into the little factors of that. However, there are those people who deserve a second chance, who deserve a chance to prove that they are capable of being an upstanding citizen. So, yes.
We all make mistakes.
They just need an opportunity.
We all make bad decisions.
That's right.
Yes.
All right, so again, don't forget our Kwanzaa celebration tomorrow, ASU Pavilion, 11 a.m. Come dressed in your African attire, dashikis, or whatever you have. There will be a photographer on site, Just Joe, and photo booth provided by
Spacewalker Jonesboro.
Spacewalker. I want to keep saying Kids Place.
Kids Place. They're both the same business. But yeah, Kids Place is the actually all-encompassing. Shout out to my guy Tierra too.
Tierra Hamilton.
That's another example of self-determination. If you find a niche in society, you see a need, go out and fill that void.
Okay. And thank you, Reverend Scales, for all the work that you put into this community, through KIT, through the church, through the MLK Parade Committee. How long has that been going on?
MLK? Mm-hmm. Since the first one was 2002. Was it 17 years?
2002.
We're going into our 18th year.
And that took a lot of self-determination to fight against all the naysayers.
Yeah, we had some. we had some threats too. I laughed at them. I laughed at to my brother W. She told me, they serious. I am too. I ain't thinking about them.
Okay.
That's like what I said.
And so in spite of all of that, here we are today.
Yes, going to 18th year.
Wow, that's amazing.
I wish I could make it 20, but I'm just too old now.
Reverend Skill's going to be in a wheelchair walker or something and still be running things. Watch what I tell you. And to our very own Lagenzi Kell, who pushed through all the adversity that he faced and created this radio station as a voice for the community of Jonesboro, Arkansas, and surrounding areas.
Your life, your music. Jonesboro's community radio station.
Kanisha Skiller-Rawls is a new chair.
Okay, we're going to bug Kanisha.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll have her on the program.
I'm emeritus now.
We will have members of the Craighead County Martin Luther King Jr. Committee on a future edition of Community Conversations to talk all of the details of the parade, the youth gospel explosion, the MLK Street, and all the other festivities going on. So just stay tuned for that. Don't forget that Kwanzaa celebration tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So
Where?
Arkansas State University Pavilion.
All right.
And I want to encourage everyone, start making Kwanzaa a family discussion, involve the children, and create your own family traditions and activities that tie in the principles of Kwanzaa. If you I don't know if you can see our picture in the back, but on the candle holder, the Kunara, today you would light your
Put it on the fade it on the screen.
You would light your red candle, which is you would light the black one on day 1 and the far left red candle on day 2. Every candle represents a principle and every color as well. So again, start reading, start studying. Everyone have a great and blessed day and happy Friday, y'all.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this